WSGW. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, we'll have open phones. At 11 o'clock on Focus, we'll focus on United Financial Credit Union. But for this hour, through the magic of radio, we're going to talk about magic. Isn't that magical? We have a gentleman with us this morning who has been practicing magic for most of his life, and he's going to be having a show in Frankenmuth over the next several weekends at the Fisher Hall. And we are pleased to welcome magician extraordinaire Al Belmont.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Art.
Hey, thanks for coming in, Al. Appreciate it. And Al is from one of my old necks of the woods in New Jersey, and an East Coaster, so we'll get along just fine.
Fine.
So I have to ask, Belmont Magic, what got you into the magic game? I mean, you told me you were 10 when you got into it.
I fell in love with it at about the age of 10. I
What
went to
happened?
see the
Something
Houdini
triggered?
movie with Tony
Okay.
Curtis and Janet Leigh.
Yeah.
And I was quite taken with it. It was just so wonderful, all the illusions that he did and everything. A little scary when they showed the escapes and him being trapped underwater and such. But I really got into it. And my sister, who was about 18 years older than me, she found out that Blackstone was coming to Philadelphia. So she brought me to the old Earl Theater, which was what was called a presentation house at the time. It had been a big vaudeville theater. And as vaudeville began to fade and movies came in, eventually the live performers who still had a good name, and Blackstone had a wonderful name.
Yeah.
He was the David Copperfield of his day.
Right.
They would do a show, then they'd show a movie, then they'd do a show, and so on and so forth. So we went to see him. Oh my, I was so impressed. He was so good. He had a voice. He didn't need a microphone. He had a voice that just had such authority, and it was welcome to my show. And he looked a little bit like a leprechaun in the way he carried himself. I mean, he teased the kids. He had just a wonderful way about him. So we watched it. My sister excused herself for a few minutes to go to the back of the theater for something. And she came back and she said, "What do you think of the show so far?" I said, "Oh, it is absolutely wonderful. We should stay for the next one." And she looked at me. She knew I was playing her. So we sat through the most terrible extra movie. And we moved down closer to the stage.
Oh, you did stay for the next
And I moved into the third row. And Blackstone began his show. And he did his famous floating light bulb. And he brought his floating light bulb out into the audience and brought it right to my nose and made it touch my nose. And I think he saw the way I reacted to him. He could tell I was just totally gone. I was smiling, happy. And now, of course, I realize what he was doing because I have many children assistants in my show. And he was figuring out, how's this kid going to behave on stage? Is he going to be happy? Is he going to have a good time? Is he going to be scared to death? And he looked at me and he said, "This kid loves me. I can do no wrong." So he brought me up on stage and he gave me a rabbit. And then he wrapped the rabbit in a newspaper. He asked my sister if it was all right for me to bring the rabbit home. And I said, "Sure, She said, "Perfect, no problem." So he said, "Okay, Albert, well, if you're going to bring the rabbit home, you have to be very careful because rabbits are very susceptible to drafts. This is Philadelphia. It's cold outside. It's the winter. I'm going to wrap the rabbit in a sheet of newspaper so it stays out of the draft." I said, "Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, sir." And he said, I started to leave, and he said, just a moment, Albert. Albert, one other thing I have to tell you. Don't ever squeeze the rabbit. You must never be a rabbit squeezer. If you squeeze that rabbit, something terrible will happen." And then, well, go ahead, Albert. Folks, can we have a nice round of applause for Albert? As I got to the corner of the stage, he said, "Wait a minute. You squeezed, did not?" "Yes, you did. Open the newspaper." I opened the newspaper, and there was a box of Welch's malt balls there, and the rabbit was gone. So he brings me back with a little finger motion and looks at me and says, "Are you sorry you squeezed the rabbit?" And I'm like a little kid shaking my head, yes. And he said, "I will make you another one. I'll make you a papier-mâché rabbit." And he took the newspaper and formed it into like a little rabbit with little rabbit ears and stuff. He said, "Here's your rabbit." And I had this look on my face of total disappointment. And he goes, "Oh, that's not the kind of rabbit you meant?" "No, sir." And he broke it open, and inside the newspaper was the rabbit. He sent me on my way with my box of candy and my rabbit.
You sent the rabbit home with you?
Oh, I took the rabbit home with me. She lived to be 12 years old.
No kidding.
Matilda, she was a pet. She was like a cat. She used a litter box. She ran all over the house. That was my first rabbit. And the next day I went to the library and I got out a book on magic. It was Joseph Leeming's Fun with Magic. And that was the start of it all.
That's an interesting question. Because magicians are pretty tight-lipped about their magic. How does a 10-year-old get into magic and learn the tricks of the trade, no pun intended, when magicians don't want to share all that?
Well, the way I did it, and it's the way most kids do, at that time it was all books. And I would go to the public library, and they did have a whole section on magic. And like Leeming's book, you could open it up and you could make magic tricks out of shoe boxes and out of newspapers and things that every kid would have around their house. And as a matter of fact, in our big show that we're going to be presenting at Fisher Hall, it's a major illusion where we bring a child up from the audience and they float in the air. But it's a setup, it's a story that we use in every show, but it's actually based on truth. I started doing shows in the backyard to raise money for the March of Dimes. And I would have my friends come and charge them a nickel or charge them a dime to see the show. And then when you had the telethon, we'd take the money down to the Coliseum and donate the money. And it started that way. And I guess I was about 12. And a local TV show came on. It was when local television had a lot of their own programming. Bill Renair's Frozen Food Showcase. This was the America's Got Talent of the day. So I sent Bill Renair a letter saying how I would love to be on his show. And my mom's at home, and she gets this phone call from Bill Renair's producer saying, we'd like to have Albert on the show. She looked at my father, and she said, he can't come on the show with a bunch of shoe boxes and newspaper. He's got to do something. So she took me to see a professional magician, and she paid him to rent me a couple of tricks and to teach me some magic. Uh-huh. So I went and I auditioned for Bill Renair's showcase, and I was the toast of that Sunday morning. And then my mom, who of course was convinced I knew Houdini had been born, somehow got me an audition for the Ed Sullivan Show, with a famous caster, an agent, and the talent director for the show. His name was Mark Letty. And Mark Letty, this was a man who dealt with major stars. Right. And he took his time out for this little 12-year-old boy to come in and do... He knew before he ever saw me that this was not going to be appropriate for the Ed Sullivan Show. And he brought me in, and he had me do my magic for him. And I will never forget him. He looked at me and he said, Albert, he said, you're not ready yet. He said, your magic isn't your own, it's not original, and it's not really that clever yet. He said, but I don't want you to give up. He said, because, son, he said, you have it. He said, there's a certain thing that producer can just look and see. He said, I don't want you giving up. I don't want you disappointed. He said, because he said, someday, if you stick to it, you'll be good. And sure enough, about 4 years later, I was on the Ted Mack Show, which was the equivalent of America's Got Talent on CBS. And we did very well on Ted Mack Show. And I wound up growing. I learned a lot performing with the USO. It was local USO camp shows. We performed all over the Philadelphia metro area for the young soldiers at Fort Dix. They had 6 service clubs there. They were training thousands of soldiers. Mm-hmm. We performed there. We performed at McGuire Air Force Base. We performed at the VA Hospital in Philadelphia, the Valley Forge Military Hospital, the Philadelphia Naval Hospital. And, of course, every time we did those shows, we learned. And I went for dancing instruction. I went for acting instruction. One time we did one of the shows at Fort Dix, and one of the tricks didn't work right. And I was very disappointed because by that point I had standards, and that didn't meet my standard. And my dad looked at me and he said, don't worry, son. He said, if they don't like the show, their price of admission will be cheerfully refunded. Of course, their price of admission was zero because we were doing all this as volunteers. And that's how it started to grow. And then finally, I got a mentor. And
okay, hold that thought. We'll come back to the mentor here. We're talking to Al Belmont. He's going to be at Fisher Hall in Frankenmuth. He's going to be there Thursday and Friday this week.
And Saturday.
And then the following weekend, 6, 7, 8, and 13, 14, 15. So he's there for 9 shows. And it's $25. Showtime 7 o'clock. And we'll give you contact information and all that when we return here on the Art Lewis Show, where it is 9:22.
Thinking Kia? Think Thalen Kia.
And we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, magician Al Belmont, who is going to be at Fisher Hall the next 3 weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday each weekend, with his Belmont Magic. Explain to me the difference between a magician and an illusionist.
Well, a magician can use something as simple as a couple of small coins and wow people with them with careful manipulation and such. An illusionist works with much bigger props on a much bigger scale. Whereas someone may, cause a quarter to disappear, I cause a beautiful young woman to appear. As a matter of fact, one of the illusions that we do in the show is actually an illusion that I saw Blackstone do. We build a solid glass box on the stage, and there's no question it is a solid glass box. It is strapped together and sealed. It is a solid glass box, and somehow in an instant, a beautiful young woman appears in there. So illusions are magic on a big scale. They involve live animals. They involve lots of color, lots of flash, and then sometimes there can be an element of danger. Like we are very honored to present an illusion that was the last illusion that was ever created by the great magician Robert Harbin. Harbin's name is known all over the world. He came from South Africa, but he performed all in England, lived in England, and he created some of the greatest magic that was ever created. As a matter of fact, magic had a great resurgence back in the 70s.
Yep.
And what brought magic back was great magicians like Doug Henning and David Copperfield and people like that using illusions that Harbin had created no one had ever seen. So on the last effect that he created, he built it on a ship coming from Australia to Los Angeles. He just knocked it together in a workshop. And I think it was meant to be the culmination. There had been one trick that had appeared off and on from his initial days as a performer. And it started out and it had an absolutely huge box, and you could have put an elephant in it, and he didn't like it. It didn't fool anybody. And then he came up with another version that was much more realistic, but that was based on an older trick that many people had seen. And then he created another one that became very hot all over the world. It got performed all over the world. It fooled people. And I think even that he wasn't satisfied with. He wanted something where the girl would be totally visible with what was happening to her at all times. And he created an illusion called the Blades of Opah, which, when he came to Los Angeles to receive the Master's Award from the Magic Castle, he gave this trick to a man who was like you, Art. He famous in magic for many, many years, built for the greatest magicians in the world. And this was his gift to him. And Harbin sailed off and came back about 3 years later. And when he came back, this gentleman, very famous man named John Gaughan, who creates illusions for magicians, had taken the prototype that Harbin had built and had made 2 beautiful versions of the trick. He gave one to Harbin, which Harbin took back to England with him, which eventually wound up with the most famous magician in England. And the second one went to a magician in Texas. And when he passed away, we were fortunate enough to get that prop. And so there are literally only 2 of them in the world. People will see something in our show they've never seen before. and I guarantee they will walk out saying how they do it.
So when I think of magicians and I think of people creating these tricks, they're property. They're property of the magician that creates it. Does another magician who wants to use that trick, do you have to lease it, pay for it, buy it? How do you come up with the tricks other than the ones you create yourself?
Right.
How do you get to use other people's tricks?
Well, the ethical guys, okay,
All right, moving right along, folks.
the ethical guys will say this is a masterpiece created by the great magician Harbin, and they will have. Now Harbin, of course, has passed away. There were these two pieces, and I have the legitimate rights to present it. I bought the illusion from the man that got it from Harbin. Most of the time, there is a camaraderie amongst magicians. Most magicians will help each other. It goes back to that original question you said about how do you learn to be a magician. I did the USO shows. I did all of that. Eventually, you reach a point where you're not going any further unless somebody puts out a helping hand and helps you. To do that, you have to get into a magic club. Now, there are great magic clubs, and they're all over the United States, too. There's the Society of American Magicians. There's the International Brotherhood of Magicians, and they have the International Brotherhood of Magicians have what are called rings. And there's small groups, and you audition, essentially. You do one piece of magic. You try and pick the most challenging, the most difficult piece of magic that you can do. And if they accept you into their club, they will begin to help you. And then you really can begin to grow. Someone will take something that's been his favorite routine for 25 years, and he'll say, you know, I've done this for 25 years. I don't really need it anymore, but you're starting out in your career, and it's going to help you. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm going to teach you the pattern, and I'm going to teach you the timing. Because what a lot of people don't realize is magic is theater. Good magic, whether it's close-up magic or whether it's big stage magic like we do, is theater. I've studied acting, directing, special effects, technical theater. That all goes together with it.
And it relies on one major principle. And I'm not a magician, just somebody who's watched it for years. One major principle: misdirection.
Oh, yes. Yes, exactly.
Have I hit it?
Yes, yes, exactly.
So you want to create, let's say, for Belmont Magic, you want to create a new illusion. Are there basic principles that are adaptable to each and every illusion that you carry on? You just change the way it's presented?
For the most part, yes. I would almost think you've read a book on magic. There are basically 6 fundamental things that you can do. And then, you try and figure out how to give it a different look, a different style. My creative muse is my wife, Suzanne. She is absolutely wonderful. She's a librarian. She was a librarian. We met in high school, and she was 16 years old when she helped me in our first show together.
And lucky for her, you haven't made her disappear. We're going to take a break on that, come back and hear more of the story. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Belmont Magic Show coming to Fisher Hall over the next 3 weeks, and we'll tell you about that when we return.
Campaign season is funny.
All right, we're back with you in studio. With me is Al Belmont, to Mr. Belmont, Belmont Magic. Limited engagement at Fisher Hall in Frankenmuth. It's going to be this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 3 weekends of it, $25, showtime 7 p.m. And if you want to get tickets, can they go to your site?
The best and easiest way to do it is just, we kept it really simple, is just go to BelmontMagic.com. Belmont, just like Belmont College, the famous music school, or Belmont Racetrack, BelmontMagic.com. They'll have information about the show. They can see a video. They can buy their tickets. And they should buy their tickets in advance, Art, because Fisher Hall is a beautiful little theater, but it seats just 150 people.
Yeah, the Opera for Little.
It's wonderful for magic.
So let me ask you this. I'll give you an audience of 2,000. Or I'll give you an audience of 150. What would you like?
Oh, no contest.
Or both.
150 every time. because you can establish a relationship, a rapport with your audience. Everybody gets to see everything. As one gentleman said who saw our show, he said, I was so close. He said, that's what made the magic so baffling. I was right on top of it, and I couldn't figure it out. And
it's intimate, isn't it?
yes. So it's a very intimate setting, and I like that,
I've always related intimacy in magic, though, to hand magic, card tricks, small magic, where you're looking right at it. Does a small audience impact big illusions?
Oh, well, they love them. They know they are fooled by them just as much as when there's a huge audience if they're presented properly. But I mean, I also do rope tricks. As a matter of fact, I brought a rope trick to show you. I didn't know we'd get a chance to talk.
Sure, let's do that.
But to illustrate it for everybody. But when we were talking about me becoming a magician, that was one of the first things I did, and I got this Joseph Leeming book on magic, and a lot of it. There's a whole section on rope magic. And I became enamored with it, and I love to do rope magic.
Get the rope out. We're going to do play-by-play rope magic. It is radio, folks.
Well, what's nice about this one is we actually take these ropes and we pass them out into the audience, so folks can check them out.
All right,
and make sure they don't stretch. They're not elastic. They don't have any magnets in them.
He's got
or anything
three
like
ropes
that.
of three different lengths.
Three different lengths: short, medium, and long.
Short, medium,
and
long.
you line them up. And I go right into the middle of the audience because I don't want the audience to think they're just going to walk in and see a bunch of big magic and not have any of the fun of the intimacy of a magician. No, we've got this kind of stuff all through the show. I walk down right up to the front row. They check out the ropes. I take the short piece of rope, I pull it up and make it equal to itself. Next, I take the medium length rope and do the same thing with that. This is right under their eyes. Take the long piece, pull that up, and show that to them.
Which is what he's doing. Now he has 6 ends all together.
And I say to them, is that fair? Well, they're looking right at it. I'm 12 inches from them,
fair.
right? And I make a mere snap of my fingers. And that quickly I begin to distort the molecular structure of the rope, transforming those 3 unequal pieces of rope into son of a gun. As you can see, they just turned into 3 equal pieces of rope. 1, 2, 3, and as they react to that,
so you got 3
I
equal
prove
lengths
to them
now, long ones.
that they're 3 equal pieces of rope with a colossal spin right in front of their eyes, and they see they really did change. Well, now the audience starts to react, and I say, I'm glad you did that, but it's really just magic. You just weren't watching closely enough, because what I actually have is, nothing more than a short piece of rope. It turns back into a short piece of rope, a medium length piece of rope, and a long piece of rope which circles them. And there they are.
Now, let me tell you,
and
folks,
that's more fun sometimes than some of the big illusions.
Well, and let me tell you something about that, because that's a trick. And by that I mean it positively, as opposed to the trick we all imagine you're going to do. We all imagine you're going to take those 3 pieces of rope and join them and have one big piece of rope.
Exactly.
You did an entirely different illusion.
Right.
From what I was expecting.
That's what we try to do. We try to surprise people. Try to show them something they've never seen before. Our show has a lot of original, proprietary stuff. I mentioned my wife, Suzanne. She's always loved to read. She was a librarian when I met her when she was in high school. And she brings a tremendous amount to our show. I am so proud of her. We became friends. She helped me do all the charity shows as we were growing up.
How long have you been married?
We have been married.
Don't take too long.
About 54 years.
Oh, good. My late wife and I were 57, so that's good. I'm always glad to hear that when I hear people with longevity in their marriage.
She's still the leading lady in the show. She teaches all the young dancers what to do and how to do it. And then we have some things in the show that are just ours that we do together.
Fantastic. We're talking to Al Belmont. Belmont Magic will be appearing Fisher Hall in Frankenmuth this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 3 weekends, 7 p.m. showtime. Tickets are $20. Belmont, $25. I'm sorry. I'm looking right at it. $25. Belmont Magic.
Yes, they go to belmontmagic.com. And contrary to, they should do that because it's a small house. You want to get the tickets ahead of time. But we don't want them to suffer because they're buying tickets online. So Suzanne and I are paying the extra charge for them being processed online. No one pays anything extra to buy the tickets online.
Whoa.
It's $25. That's it. You're planning on taking your family out. I think you deserve to know what it's going to cost you. So that's the way we set it up.
All right. Quick break. We will be back one final segment with Al Belmont talking magic this morning here on the Art Lewis Show. Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at Quick Lane Freeland, part of the McDonald Ford complex. One of the things we have in Michigan, it's not done by magic, are potholes. Getting them fixed sometimes is magic, but if you hit enough of them, you're going to knock your car's alignment out of whack. And our friends at Quick Lane Freeland are offering you a complimentary alignment check. You stop in, ask for it, they put it up on the lift, they have these attachments they put on the wheels. It's all done with lasers and computers, and they give you a printout of your exact condition of your alignment of your automobile. And if you wonder just how important all of that is, I've asked my friend John from Quick Lane Freeland to talk about alignment.
If your vehicle's wheels are aligned correctly, it will not pull to the left or to the right when driving. It also prevents improper tread wear, so your tires last longer. A wheel alignment should be checked often because normal steering wear and tear can cause your alignment to go out in addition to potholes and railroad crossings. A correct alignment also reduces rolling resistance on your tires for better fuel mileage.
And, of course, better safety. And, by the way, if you need tires, don't forget Quick Lane Freeland sells all their new tires at just $5 over cost. It's all part of the McDonald Ford complex in Freeland. McDonald Ford and Quick Lane Freeland, two names standing ready to help you with all your automotive needs in 2026.
Plus.com.
Rocket Grab Plus is your local go-to for great deals on services, food hot spots, local attractions, and so much more. Get half off on deals from Fran & Dot Boutique, I Love Frankenmuth, Clayton Cleaners, Applied Training Solutions, Saginaw Escape Room, plus many more local businesses.
With you, and as difficult as it is to do magic on the radio, we're doing it anyway because Al Belmont is with us this morning. His Belmont Magic Show at Fisher Hall this weekend, the following, and next two, so 3 weekends in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday each. Find out more at belmontmagic.com. Buy your tickets online. They're only $25. How long does the show run typically, Al?
The show runs an hour and 10 minutes.
Got it timed, don't you?
Oh, yes, yes. Well, we figure with families coming, it is truly a family. It's truly a family show. I mean,
since the beginning of this interview, I've heard that word "family" so many times. I assumed that
the moms and dads are going to love it, though. It's not. It is a family show. It's not a kiddie show. In other words, the kids are going to love it. There's live animals in it. The live animals are all our pets that we have. I mean, they sleep in the RV with us. The dogs sleep in the bed with us. I mean, this is all family. The lead tech on the show is my grandson, Alexander, who is absolutely wonderful. He keeps all the magic happening from backstage. My leading lady is still my wife, Suzanne.
You have a cast with you, too?
Yes, there's 6 of us all together. Young lady Sarah has flown in from Buffalo. She works with us around the country in we've worked at major fairs and festivals across the United States.
She's the one that disappears?
She's one of the ones. She's one of the ones, and thankfully she reappears. We have another young lady, Megan Casey, who has worked with us for about 2 years. She's a beautiful young woman and does a very, very nice job, and folks are really going to like her. I don't want to give away the finale, but she brings the house down. And then my other grandson, William, is our chief male assistant on stage. So it's a true family affair. And the folks, when they come, I mean, the children respond to the music, to the color, to the animals, to the speed. Our show is, I don't like magic that drags. I don't like magic. We never spend more than 3 or 4 minutes on anything. So if you do watch the show and there's something in it that isn't quite your cup of tea, you don't have to worry because in 4 minutes you're out of it and you're going to love the next thing that's coming. And the children love the color, the flash, and all that. But the parents, I guarantee, will go home speaking about 3 or 4 of the pieces in the show saying, all right, it was fun. Kids had a good time. How'd they do it? I mean, and that's the essence of magic. The essence of magic is that. And when I was a young man, someone who was helping me with my magic said to me, "Why do you like to do magic?" And I said, "I like to make people happy." That's still the goal.
Yeah.
Walk out the door, happy faces, happy smiles, everybody having a good time.
So let me ask you this, Al. You've been at it a long time, and in the early days, to create your show, you had to create magic. You had to create a lot of tricks and illusions. Do you still create today, or have you fallen into a routine where you have enough in the can that you can put together a show at a moment's notice?
Well, we do have a very large repertoire of magic on hand, but we would lose all the fun if we didn't keep creating our magic. So every year, there's 2 or 3 new things in the show. So folks who come back and see it, and I'll pop up and say to Suzanne, "Hey, how about if we do an escape this year? We never did an escape before." And there's an escape trick in this year's show that we've never done before in our life. That's part of the fun of performing, coming up with new and original things for
Keeps
your
you
audience. Exactly. You never want to. In show business, we have an expression: phone it in. You never want to phone it in. The day it gets like that, I won't do my shows anymore.
Well, see, I recognize that because it's one of the joys of doing this show is meeting folks like you. I've never interviewed a magician before in all the years I've been doing this, And here, it's something brand new.
Well, I'm so grateful that you gave us the opportunity to be on your show, Art, and a chance to talk to all of your listeners. I hope they like what they heard. I hope they think this might be a nice experience to come and bring their own children or bring their grandchildren and have a great time. It's so easy, BelmontMagic.com. You learn about the show, you get your tickets, and as I say, there's no extra charge for doing that online thing.
Kind of neat. Fisher Hall is the place, 613 South Main in Frankenmuth, and showtime is 7 o'clock each night, this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the next 3 weekends.
And there's plenty of free parking. Plenty
Yeah.
of free parking right behind the visitor center. The theater is right next to the visitor center. So there's plenty of free parking. You don't have to worry about we're going to get there and have to drive all over the city to get a spot to park.
Yeah. The only thing I should warn you about doing your show in Frankenmuth is there are so many places for you to visit in Frankenmuth. You're liable to spend more than you make. Be careful.
We already have a cuckoo clock in the back of the RV.
Well, Al, this has been a great pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I think I'll see you at one of those shows.
I hope so.
We'll look forward to it. Al Belmont, Belmont Magic, Fisher Hall, the next 3 weekends. BelmontMagic.com will get you lots more information and the tickets, which are only $25.
We're proud to make
All right, that'll do it for the first hour of the Art Lewis Show. Coming up, open phones, whatever you want to chat about, we'll get on the conversation. First, the news from ABC and the local report, and then we'll be back with you.
Broadcasting from the storm.